There was a wolf dog tightly chained, deprived of food for 3 days and nights to unleash its beastly nature. These heartless individuals subjected it to such brutal training for their own gain, to ensure the dog's victory in underground dogfighting matches. Soon, they arrived at the dogfighting arena. It was the first time the wolf dog had been in such an environment, and it was overwhelmed, about to face the most vicious dogs in the arena. Within minutes of the match starting, the wolf dog tapped into its wolf instincts and quickly killed the aggressive dog, shocking everyone present. As the wolf dog looked at the lifeless body of its fallen counterpart, a hint of compassion appeared in its eyes. It didn't want to do this, but this was just the beginning. To earn more money, the owner made the wolf dog fight one match after another. For survival, the wolf dog won almost every fight, filling the owner's pockets with riches. No matter how formidable a dog was, they would eventually be eliminated under these circumstances. Then, one day, a skinny pit bull entered the arena, and its owner boldly declared, "I bet 5,000 yuan that your dog won't survive today." The match began, and the two dogs viciously tore at each other. The wolf dog, exhausted from continuous battles, was caught by the pit bull's bite on its neck within minutes. Everyone knew that once a pit bull had a grip on the neck, it would only release when death occurred. In this critical moment, Jack rushed in and used a shovel to pry open the pit bull's jaws, saving the wolf dog's life. Jack brought the dog to his small cabin. In this cruel world, the dog was reminded of its mother. When it was very young, its mother, in search of food for it, tragically fell victim to a hunter's gun. Gasping for breath, she crawled to the entrance of a cave, desperately wanting to see her child before she died. As the young wolf dog caught the scent of its mother, it quickly ran out of the den. The wolf mother, upon seeing her child, peacefully closed her eyes. The young wolf dog thought its mother was just sleeping and stayed by her side, lying on her, until the snow covered her body. It then realized that its mother had forever left. Helplessly, it howled at the sky, releasing its sorrow. But life had to go on. The young wolf pup had to venture out alone to find food and satisfy its hunger. It didn't take long before it spotted a hanging rabbit up ahead. Unbeknownst to it, this was a trap set by the hunter. It ran over, wanting to catch the rabbit, only to trigger the mechanism beneath its feet. The rabbit escaped, but the young wolf dog found itself suspended in the air. Before long, the hunter, alerted by the sound, approached. Upon seeing the young wolf dog's teeth, he realized it was a mix of wolf and dog, and so, he brought it back to his tribe, subjecting it to daily rigorous training. Months passed, and the young wolf dog grew into an adult. It even had a nice name, White Fang. Every day, it assisted its owner in carrying supplies. In the eyes of these Native Americans, the dog was their slave, destined to serve them for life. One day, a gold prospector named Jack passed by. When he laid eyes on White Fang, he recognized him as the small wolf dog by the river. He wanted to reach out and touch White Fang but was stopped by its owner. The owner told Jack that creatures like White Fang were not worthy of being friends with humans. This puzzled Jack because he believed that all living beings have spirits. Treat them well, and they will show gratitude. Although White Fang had grown so big, he felt lonely every night. The longing in his eyes when he gazed into the jungle revealed how much he desired to return to the wilderness. However, with dog blood running through his veins, he chose to stay and repay the man for saving his life. The next day, Jack went outside in search of White Fang, but unexpectedly encountered a brown bear. Terrified, Jack scrambled and fled, eventually hiding among a pile of firewood. In a critical moment, White Fang charged out, baring his fangs and confronting the brown bear. Despite the bear's size, White Fang showed no fear. In the end, the bear had no choice but to give up, and White Fang glanced at Jack before turning and walking away. Not long after, Jack was about to leave the area to search for gold. Before departing, he gave White Fang 2 pieces of beef jerky as a gesture of gratitude for saving his life. Once Jack was gone, White Fang stood alone on the mountain, watching him depart. It could already sense Jack's kindness, but with this parting, it didn't know when they would meet again. On this day, the man brought White Fang to wander around the market. When the dog saw White Fang serving humans as a slave, it barked loudly, looking down on him, as the man exchanged animal furs for money. Several people from a dogfighting arena noticed White Fang. To test their own dog's strength, they released it to attack and bite White Fang. However, they didn't know that White Fang had wolf blood running through his veins. In just 2 rounds, he overpowered the aggressive dog, knocking it to the ground. Luke immediately took notice of White Fang and wanted to claim him as his own, to earn money for himself. He then found White Fang's owner and said, "Your wolf killed my dog. Moreover, wolves are prohibited from entering this town." Using this as a threat, he said, "If you don't hand over the wolf to me, I can ensure you spend the rest of your life in jail." To avoid unnecessary trouble, the man ultimately handed White Fang over to them. However, this marked the beginning of White Fang's nightmare. Not long after, they tied up White Fang and intentionally provoked his wild instincts to win dogfighting matches. Which brings us back to the opening scene. White Fang engaged in fights for a long time, but ended up being tightly bitten by a pit bull. Fortunately, Jack appeared nearby and called for help. saving White Fang's life. Afterward, Jack brought White Fang back to his small log cabin for gold mining. Looking at White Fang covered in wounds, he said with concern, "Don't give up, do you hear me?" The next day, when Jack opened the door, he found that White Fang had indeed survived, but he had changed. He no longer trusted humans and wouldn't allow anyone to approach him. Jack only wanted to help loosen the iron chain, but White Fang had developed a fear of humans. In the end, he bit Jack. Jack understood his feelings and didn't blame White Fang. He continued to comfort him. In the following days, Jack made numerous attempts, but White Fang still wouldn't let him come close, until one day, Little Fire threw beef jerky to White Fang again. White Fang picked it up, still highly cautious. Jack tried again and again until finally, White Fang ate from his hand. Jack then dared to reach out and stroke him. This time, White Fang didn't resist, which meant that White Fang trusted Jack once again. He made the decision to let Jack become his new owner. From then on, they played together every day and mined for gold in the mine. White Fang became Jack's good helper. During an unexpected cave collapse, Jack got trapped inside. White Fang anxiously used his claws to dig the soil, ultimately successfully rescuing Jack. It was during this incident that they discovered gold on White Fang's paws. They hurriedly returned to the cave and found a large amount of gold in front of them. Jack took White Fang to the town to have the gold tested for purity. However, it was there that White Fang recognized the enemy who had previously framed him. The man quickly ran back and informed his companions about what he saw with White Fang. They followed him to the gold mining site, and when they weren't paying attention, the group of villains set the small log cabin on fire. Just as one of the villains was about to rush in, White Fang pounced on him, knocking the man to the ground. In an unexpected move, White Fang accidentally hit another villain's leg, and then he pounced on that one as well. With White Fang's help, Jack successfully delivered these heartless criminals to the police station in town. The results of their gold purity also came out, with it reaching 99.9%. The two of them embraced each other happily, but to enjoy the hard-earned wealth, they had to return to the big city for spending. However, keeping a wolf was prohibited in the city, which meant Jack had to leave White Fang behind. In the city, White Fang wouldn't be able to survive. The wilderness was the best place for White Fang to be. Although Jack was reluctant, he finally left White Fang on the mountain. No matter how hard he tried to drive White Fang away, White Fang refused to leave even a step. It was only when Jack picked up a stick from the ground that White Fang sadly turned and walked away. However, as Jack embarked on his journey back home, there was no smile on his face. At a critical moment, Jack chose to give up the money because he finally understood that no amount of money could buy White Fang's affection for him. If it weren't for White Fang, he would have died twice already. So, he returned alone to the small log cabin and renovated it after the fire. Just then, a familiar figure reappeared on the mountain. Jack twisted his head to see that it was White Fang who had returned. This time, a smile appeared on White Fang's face. Humans often find many excuses to abandon their most loyal friends, and even show the fiercest expressions to drive them away. How can we understand the confusion and helplessness of dogs? I am Movie Lover. Please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next episode.